Your journey never stops. A new adventure awaits you just a few clicks away. A road trip or vacation, a time to connect with those we care about. We take on the hassle so you don't have to. We are here to give you the freedom to go places. WopeCar. Rent a car in a few clicks.
So June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And here on WopeCar Talks, we have a very special episode for you. This podcast is powered by WopeCar. We give you the freedom to go places. And this episode, we have amazing men, and we're about to talk about mental health with men in a larger scope, even in the Ghanaian society and further. So stick and stay with us. It's going to be an amazing episode. I'm joined here by two amazing men, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So first of all, to the man on my left, who are you?
My name is Kujo Nyanyue Dwamako. Nyanyue means good news. But in this capacity, I am co-curator of 11000. 11000 is focused on the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of men. We've run a community for about a year now. And so I guess this is another opportunity for us to speak to more men and just get men to join more communities.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And on my right?
So my name is David Maja. I am a creative entrepreneur, and I love everything to do with talking about, mental health, because it's very important, and I think that more conversations need to be had. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be part of this conversation, and I hope that what we have to say is going to be very fruitful for everyone listening.
Okay, amazing. So also I am Kweku Furiata, and in this capacity, I'm the founder of the Anair Project, also a community of men, just with the idea of bringing men back to the original design of men. So we are going straight into the questions. What does it mean to be a man? Kojo, take us away.
Yo, I see that you're just gonna let me start all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a problem, but I guess this can be approached in different ways. Now, I typically like to approach things from scripture, so I think I'll start from that perspective. In the beginning, man was made in the image of man, in the image of God, and then immediately he was given work to do. So you can see right there and then what it meant to be a man. It meant that he had responsibility. Because right there you see that God's job is that he's responsible for the world and everything else after that. And he gave that to man in his image. So his job is to have responsibility. So when you think about it, in the hierarchy of things, the man puts God first, then he puts his family, and he always puts himself last. Because what that responsibility means is that he's in service to others, right? Now, typically, when you hear people say that, you ask the question, so what about me? Who's going to take care of me?
Yeah.
And that's usually the problem. Like, that's why we start having this conversation about mental health, like who takes care of the man?
Yeah.
But the design is this way. It's designed in a way that I offer my service to you without demand so that you also service me without demand. So you think about this. Your ears do not hear themselves. Your eyes do not see themselves. You smell with your nose, but the nose does not smell it. So like basically every part of your body, again, by design and by image, is made in operation of the other. That's the basic principle of what it means to be a man, to be in service of another. And when other men understand this, you realize that then now none of us lack, because I take care of you and you take care of me. And that's one of the reasons why community is important, like to have other men with you, so that while you do for them, they do for you as well.
Amazing. Maja.
I love what you said, by the way.
Thanks, man.
I think for me, I'll take it from a different point of view, or maybe even similar, more of purpose, finding a way to sort of use the things that you learn along the way to, aside from help yourself, help others. So in a sense, that's why I'm like, it's a bit close to what you're saying. I also think that when you say what it means to be a man, there can't be one. There's no one definition.
Absolutely.
Everyone arrives at what they think being a man is at different intervals in their lives. Someone can be 15 and think that he's a man, or someone can be like 25, 30 and say that he's a man. And yes, maybe legally based off of that, yes, you could say you're that. But maybe sometimes also your actions and how you go about, even interacting with people, treating people, all those things add to making you who you are as a man. I think that it's also a journey that you sort of go on throughout your life. But you can't just like sort of come to one definite, should I say, idea of what that is. So I think one has to always be open. You also have to sort of have a mindset of adaptation so that as times change, you're able to sort of also change with times, learn, unlearn things, and at the end of the day, you're just able to move forward and take people with you, So I think that's, for me, what I would say is sort of like a definition.
Okay, so still on you, mentioned that you were passionate about mental health and that being a man, there's adaptation, there are changes. So what would you say that the mental health of a man, June being Men's Mental Health Month, what would you say it means when we are talking about, particularly about the man? Because I think that there's difference. The mental health of a man, what does it mean? What does it entail? What does it actually, what does it surround, the mental health of a man?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Okay. I think when you say something like that, the mental health of a man has to do with how do I even go about this? It's a really good question you asked me, so I have to think about it a bit. But okay, so let me take it from this point of view.
Yeah.
How you sort of think, or how you sort of view yourself, how you see yourself, it's a lot of times it happens in your head, right? A lot of times the things that happen in your head, as time goes on, it sort of manifests in your physical form, like in your body and stuff like that. So how you feel about yourself, like let's say for example, you say that you have to walk upright because that shows that you have confidence and stuff. That is something that is in your mind, and you're like, okay, people see me walking this way, they'll perceive me to be confident and stuff like that, right? So there are a lot of different things that you sort of pick up in society or around you that sort of adds to your mental health. Now, everyone's mental health is different. You see, you can't define it as one thing. So when you say mental health of a man, it's a bit mental health of a man varies, and it varies based off of your environment. It varies based off of your upbringing. It varies based off of just the things you're exposed to. You see, so I think it's really about different things that along the way throughout your journey in life, growing up like a child, teenager, into adulthood, coming together to sort of make you the unit that you are. And since we are, human beings that are constantly evolving and changing, when you're 15, you're not the same person you are now, right? There's been a change, there's been a process. Aside from a physical process, there's also been a mental process, because you've had different experiences, you've been to different environments, and these different environments have left imprints on you, and based off of that, you're a different person from who you actually were maybe like some years ago, right? So based off of that, you see, the interesting thing about that is that you can be in environments that will give you positive, should I say, influences that will also influence or ideas that will in the long run have a good impact on just how you even perceive yourself, how you think people perceive you also, right? And that will have a good effect on your well-being and your mind, and because of that also have a good effect on just your body and the places that you find yourself. But in the same way, you can also find yourself in a place that is not the best, and based off of that, it leaves you with, let's say, traumatic episodes. It leaves you with things that are always on your mind, and ways to sort of find ways to escape, so because of that, you also like sort of find yourself in places that are not necessarily the best, you see. So when you say, and also you can also have the instance where it's like a mix of both, where you have like good experiences and bad experiences, but they all add up to sort of create that mental mind frame that you operate with, and you call yourself whatever your name is, or whoever you are. You see,
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing. Kojo, so to you, when you were defining, you mentioned that to be a man, you need community, because who takes care of the man? Do you think that the Ghanaian community speaks about men's mental health enough?
Well, that's an interesting question because, first of all, talk is cheap. So if we talk about it, what else are we doing about it? And that's where that's why I always seek for us to do more than just speak about it. Because it's great, because talking brings awareness to it, and then it starts to conscientize people about the problem, and we try to find a way to find the solution. But generally, when you're approaching mental health, and this is it cuts across both genders, not especially men, but I'll try and focus it with men. I'll try and see if I can articulate this properly. But you think about 3 words. The first one is submission. The second one is challenge. The third one is community. So submission in terms that you did not just appear on your own. There were men before you who have, already told the road that you are about to tow. So by submission, it can show up in many ways. It can show up as mentorship. And this mentorship does not necessarily mean somebody older than you. It can even show up as peer mentorship. So then, instead of you going through that struggle that somebody went through, you have somebody else to coach you in that journey, and then you're able to handle that. So already, instead of trying to prevent a problem that's going to come up mentally, now you are already on a path where you are being, your mental health is catered for.
Yeah.
That's the first one. The second one is the challenge, because this person is, authoring you or mentoring you in a certain way. So now you have to go and do something. Now the doing of the thing is the challenge. Now this doing is what he said as purpose. It can appear in so many ways. It can be your job. It can even be a sport or an activity, because it is in doing that you are shaped. There's something that we hear that it is in fire that gold is refined.
Yeah.
You need to go through it for it to be shaped. You understand? So that's another way that it is formed. So the talking is enough, is good, but then you need to go through it so that you are shaped. And then while you go through that second phase, the third phase is where the community is. Now, community is where, number one, you are celebrated for the challenge that you went through. It's where you find ease for the challenge that you went through. It's where you go for peace. So this community cannot just be other men. It can include, your children. It can include your wife, your sister, your siblings, Like all of these people are where it comes together, because another thing is, that would work because they too have gone through the submission, the challenge, and then the community. So now you have that thing that you can all relate with, and then you find peace here. So essentially, that's how the conversation should always go around. That's how it should be approached. Not just in terms of talk, but like in these phases where you accept that you must submit to someone. And this can look differently. Like, even when you think about it, everybody has some type, in the streets we call it like a godfather or something like that. Everybody has something like that. My first mentor was my big brother, because this homeboy was beasting way before I knew what beasting was. And I have, mentors for different things. Maybe I'll bring a story later on, but my friends are very specific. I have a friend that if I want to go beast mode, I go to him. Because he's not going to soften anything. He will not come and say, oh, don't worry, He was like, Charlie, let's get this. Yeah. Let's get this. And if I tell you the trajectory he's on, it's amazing. But there's another friend that when I'm in a very vulnerable state, I can speak to him, because he won't judge me. He will accept that part of me. And he always brings me to a place where I realize that this is only a phase that's going to pass. You understand? So that's why it's necessary that you start with the submission, you go through the challenge, and the community is where you find your peace. And that's what the conversation should be about.
Amazing. Maja, back to you. There's a saying in Ghana, Bemensu. There's a saying around that be a man.
You don't cry and see.
Be a man. Man up, be a man.
Yeah.
I want us to do something. I want us to do a contrast. So you know that as people, being a man means to bury your emotions, just go through it, go through whatever it is. But what do you think being a man actually is? Or if you are telling someone to be a man, obviously it's not to just bury the emotions and suffer in silence. What do you think to be a man actually is? So when you use the statement "be a man," what would you want it to communicate aside burying the emotions, aside just suffering, aside just, yeah.
Okay, the thing is, I don't even use that. I don't say that. You know, and
That's
I think
a really good way to.
And I think the reason why I don't really even say that for myself is because of exactly what you said, you know, because like you grow up hearing that, like you said, right, and then you're sort of creating a toxic environment for yourself, just from that. And you see, the thing is, you come into this world and you learn things. It's not as if someone has to tell you a lot of things. Some things you just learn from observing and just from being in an environment and picking it up, right? So that being a man thing, it's not like as if someone sat you down to tell you that to an extent, right? It's something that you just sort of picked up and you sort of started to understand what it meant in that context, in that idea. So it's an idea, right? It's an idea of being a man you have to be this specific type of man. You have to be strong and blah, blah, blah. I think there are different instances. If you look at it from a point of view of situations or instances, right, then it's a bit different. So there are instances that call for you to have to toughen up, and you have to be that person at that instant, you see, because that's what the situation requires. You get it? So then, be that person. But there's instances that require you to be like, let's say, soft, and that's what it requires. So be that person, you see. So it's like you have to understand that it's not in every situation that idea of being someone strong or whatever in that context comes into effect. So I wouldn't even tell someone that per se. I would have a conversation and be like, okay, this is how I think you should go about this, you know. But I will say that has been used on me before. But it has been used on me not even from a sports point of view. And so I play basketball a lot. So it's like my coach will say, be a man. Like you're on the court, you're playing a game and it's tough. And let's say you think you're tired, so you're not playing the way you should. And then you hear from like the sideline your coach shouting like, Maja, be a man, like get in there. And you're like, okay, I get it. He's just saying, yo, this is not a time for you to be given into how you're feeling in terms of your tiredness. Dig deeper, you know, and try and, you know, get what you need to get. Like try and make a point or try and make a pass or something like that. And I think for me, those have been the instances that it's been used. I haven't really had that sentence being used on me to connote some form of pressure either, you see. And I think that for me, I was sort of fortunate for that, to not like necessarily have that sort of tied to what I can do, like what I could provide and stuff like that, you see. And also I just think that maybe I also didn't put myself in situations or positions that would require that to be a thing for me, you know. And if someone tells me that, I'm like, oh, look at you, like, who do you think you are? What is your idea of what you're telling me? Exactly. Because I need to understand that from your point of view, you see. And if your point of view doesn't make sense, then you need to shut up, you know, pretty much. Because then it's like you are trying to impose an idea of what you think I should be on me, because it's like for your benefit. But what about my benefit? What about me, you see? So I think that's what I would say on that, you know.
Yeah. I think in that context, it takes more strength as a man to accept your weaknesses sometimes and face it than to bury it. It takes more strength to push through that weakness and not just push it to the side and say it doesn't exist. Accepting the existence of that weakness, but then pushing through it. Like, I think that's why we are talking about mental health. Because there are so many times and there are so many people that push it down. And I am so grateful for my community. I'm so grateful for my boys. Because they are the kind of people that you can go and tell when you are going through it. Just as Kojo was saying, that he has a community for every type of thing. When it's time to go be smooth, you have someone for that. When it's time to be vulnerable, you have someone like that. And I think that's one of the tips that I give people when they ask me that it's good to have friends in every category. There are some people that believe that thing that they're supposed to have one friend for everything. I don't think that's fair on that person.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure to put on someone.
You are not that one thing for that person, so why do you expect it the other way around?
Exactly.
No, but you're just saying something like in the game of basketball, this might be biased, but like it's all there. All the stuff that I said, the submission, the challenge, the community, the submission to his coach, the challenge to be a man while the game is ongoing, and the reward of the community when they win the game, right there. And that's why another thing I encourage like men to do things together. Because that's, even when you think about it, the defense for a country are the military. How do they like put the military together? As a team. They are built, like they have that blood bond or that camaraderie because they've been through pain together. Or they've been through some type of experience together. And that's why they're able to stay with each other like back to back. So that's another thing that helps in our mentor. Like, do something with someone and then that's when you build that rapport. That's when you build that bond together so that like you know that you're both for each other. You know? And the thing about strength is also this. There's a samurai saying that the samurai knows when to sheath the sword and when to keep it in the scabbard. What that simply means is that, like, being meek actually doesn't mean that you are weak or you can't do something. Being meek actually means that you have strength enough to know when and when not to use it. So you know when to display your skill set of like, I'll intimidate you. Like somebody pulls your wife or somebody says something dumb around your family, then you can show that, look, if you mess with me, you F around and find out. You know? But in other situations where maybe you drive and some truck driver insults you or something, they be like, I know I can F this guy up, but it's okay. You can go. You understand? And that's a dynamic that you apply in all of your life. So another thing, like seek strength, but also know when and when not to use it.
I think what we just said is basically about situations. It just goes back to what I was saying about situations. So he put it way better. You know, it's more visual. Like just know when. You know, so you seek strength and you know when to apply it and when not to. You know, so what really requires your time or effort. What doesn't really, you know? So there's like a sort of ebb and flow, if that's the word I should use. You know, sort of. So you just know when.
There's a rhythm.
Yeah, there's a rhythm, exactly. There's a rhythm. You know?
Good. So I think before I have a very interesting question, wild card question. This is WopeCar, right? What has driving a car taught you about being a man?
Yo, let me run this first.
Oh, please. You don't have to go this way.
I wrote a piece a while ago about different states of transport and how different it is when you're in a trotro, how different it is when you're in a taxi, how different it is when you're in an Uber, and how different it is when you're in your own car. Now, I believe for a man, one of the easiest ways or the most peaceful places you can be is in a car of your own.
I promise. There's some peace.
Yeah. Like when you're in a car by yourself, that's your meditative booth. You know, because it's quiet, everything else is walled out, and you can tend to think. I can bet you, both of you, actually, those of us watching us on the screens, the number of times you've parked in front of your apartment and stayed in the car for a while just to breathe, just to think. Just to think is enough. So, I mean, you can even think about it this way. Instead of like maybe taking an Uber somewhere and then you rent your own car from WopeCars. You guys go on a vacay or something, or you just want to drive. It creates that boost for you to just think. So that's, I mean, it's a luxury that I believe that everybody should.
And I think as a man, you do a lot of thinking because there are lots of things you think about, like finances, health. Like there's a lot you think about. So having that freedom to think is amazing. Maja, we've come back to you.
Come back to me. Sure. I think most of what we just said I can relate to. When you were saying that thing about in the car, like just thinking, right? Like 2 days ago, I had to drop a friend off at his place, and I wasn't even thinking. I was tired. So then I tired.
Just did it, guys.
Yeah, like it was like because I think it was 5 a.m. and I had to go do some work. So I think I've been up basically for like more than 15 hours. So I tired. I was just like, okay.
So let me just chill.
Just chill. Just just recline and just sleep for like 2 hours. Yeah. And then just go on your way. But so yeah, about driving, it's taught me patience. A lot of patience because it's about the trotro people. Trying to be true. Those guys, like I never really understood it. Like up until I started to drive, because I take churches and stuff, and it's like sometimes those guys will come clutch for you. You're running late. Your man will pass outside.
And they want to see.
Yes.
I want to see the same thing.
You're like yes.
Yeah.
But then now they drive. They bought. This guy, and the thing is that there's not a single day that a tractor driver will not try. Yeah, will not try you in a sense, But it's like, I thought about it. I'm like, you can't always react to this, because it's like, that after a while, it's like, this is the person, or this is who they are, or this is the type of life that comes with, let's say, the person doing this mode of transport. It's the way you see the streets is different from how they see the streets.
Absolutely.
So you have to understand that there are levels to it, and you can sort of try to empathize, not even empathize, but put yourself in their shoes to an extent. Doesn't mean that you're sympathetic. It just means that, okay, what is the thought process of this guy who's driving a Trusky when it comes to the road? How does he see me as, let's say, a commercial driver or a private car driver, and him as a Trusky driver? So what if you keep on letting it get to you? Like, you always be in a bad mood. So it was something that I realized. Because I thought I was a very zen, peaceful guy. And then I got behind the wheel.
I can't show you zen.
I tell you, I'm like, yo, this guy. And like, see, some dip. I remember I was coming at a... And the thing is, anytime somebody, let's say like a Trusky driver, just enters my lane for no reason, right? The first thing I do is, I look in my mirror. See if there's any car behind me. I'm like, why can't you just wait? Because there's really nobody behind me a lot of times. So let me just pass. Okay, don't make me have to like mash my brake, like stuff like that. So I just realized that it's you really actually have to not let it get to you a lot. So I think you really taught me a lot of patience, because and also just understanding different situations. You see,
And put yourself in other people's
exactly.
shoes.
Yeah, other people's shoes, and understanding the situations are different. So just because you see it this way based off of your situation, try and see it another way based off of their situation also,
I think a man's strength isn't in his physical, but is in the knowledge and how he applies it. Connecting what you are saying and what you are saying, because you're talking about situations and you're talking about patience, right? So before we run away, what would you tell any man watching this? Last words. What would you tell any man watching this?
Oh wow, that's a big one. Because I have many answers.
Okay, let me. If there's someone watching this right now that has lost hope, he's going through it mentally, and you have a chance to say something to save his life, what would you tell him?
Yeah, go back to your community. Go back to your community, because sometimes your strength is not enough. Sometimes faith is collective. You need somebody else to believe for you sometimes. You need somebody to hold you up. There's a story in the Bible about the men who tore the roof and lowered their friend down to Jesus. And he was bedridden. Actually, there's a contrast in that. There's the man who, like, his friends helped him go down the roof. There's another man laying by the pool of Bethesda.
Ooh, yeah.
See, the contrast with those two was that the one by the pool of Bethesda, he said that I have no one to carry me into the pool. He didn't have community. The other guy, his friends, tore the roof of somebody else's building and lowered him so that he could be saved. And the scripture actually talks about how when Jesus saw their faith, not his.
Because he, from what is his name?
Bro. When Jesus saw their faith, not his, he healed him and forgave him. So, just in that balance, if you're going through something and you think you needed to figure it out by yourself, you will die. You will die. So find that community. Talk to someone. Talk to another brother. Talk to your friends. And the truth is, I'll tell you for a fact, somebody in your community has been through the exact thing that you're going through. You don't have to learn by experience. Let somebody else carry you.
Amazing.
That's lovely.
Aja, if someone is going through it and you had a chance to tell him something to save him, what would you tell him?
Okay, so I think I'll have to actually take something from what Kojo said. A lot of times, so let's give, for example, let's say depression, right? You're in a state of depression and you think you're the only one going through it, but you're not. Because the thing is that other people are going through something similar or have gone through something similar. But a lot of times, it can sort of feel isolating. So you think that you're the only person somehow in the world that's going through that, you know. But that's not the truth, you see. It's just that different people also have different ways of showing that, you know. Some people can even be depressed and they'll be smiling and laughing and having a great time, but they actually feel a type of way, you know. So I will say that it is important to sort of not sort of give up hope, to just try, you know. And for me, it's try. Sometimes because of, let's say, if you're depressed, you can lose all form of, all form of routine, okay? So it's tough for you to get out of bed. It's tough for you to open your window. It's tough for you to just go to your kitchen. Like, you can lose all forms of control in that sense, routine. So the element is to try. Just try, you see. Just take it one day at a time, one step at a time, okay? You might feel isolated, you might feel lonely, you might feel like, you know, people don't care about you because you feel like you're in this state and maybe someone's not checking up on you. The people that you feel should be checking up on you aren't checking up on you. But also people are going through other things, so sometimes they need to also know. So if you also sort of, in a sense, are just in a space and you think that no one cares, it's just your mind playing tricks on you to an extent, you see. So it's very important that you try, because it is not the worst thing that can happen, you know. It is not the worst thing that can happen for you to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. You know, this is what's happening to me at this point in time, right? To shock you that you find community within the people that you already know who can say, hey, this is the case. Because up until you strike that conversation or have that conversation,
you won't know.
You won't know. Exactly. You will never know, you see. So it's like, are you now going to be in a space where you don't try to find out what is actually happening around you and you just stay in a bubble? Or will you just try and come out of that bubble a bit and see what is on the other side and what is waiting for you, which could be really beautiful, you see, which could really be helpful and could strengthen your resolve, you see. So if you try, just little by little, day by day, because you have nothing to prove to anybody at that point in time. So just try and be gentle with yourself in the sense of don't necessarily constantly bash yourself, because sometimes, you know, you have these thoughts, but then they're thoughts. It doesn't mean that it is the reality, you see. So it's like, that's what I would say. I would say that at the end of the day, try. The word is try. Just try to do something. Try to get into a sort of routine, or try and reach out to anyone, really, you know, or at least someone that, even if you're not, you don't know who to sort of trust in this sense, there has to be a person that you feel you can, or even sometimes just even talk to a stranger, because sometimes if you talk to a stranger, they don't know you, don't know them, you know, you never see them again possibly, you know. So it's a way. It's Accra, okay, you're right. but it's a way of just you know, because sometimes you might feel like you'll be judged, you know, and sometimes, you know, people who are strangers can't necessarily judge you because you don't know them. Even if they judge you, you're not going to feel it because you feel like you're being judged by the people that you know. So talk to someone that you don't know and see how that goes and how that can help you, you know. But don't give up hope. Just, you know, keep on trying. Keep on trying.
So this has been amazing. This has been educative, healing. It's been an amazing podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening to WopeCar Talks. And again, WopeCar gives you the freedom to go places. If you're a man and you're listening to this, if you know someone, you're listening to this, everything will be okay, Charlie. It will be okay, cry. Make no stress. My name is Kweku Foriata. This is
Kojo.
This is
Maja.
And we've had an amazing time. See you guys another time.
All right.
Thank you.
Peace.
A new adventure awaits you, just a few clicks away. A road trip or vacation, a time to connect with those we care about. We take on the hassle so you don't have to. We are here to give you the freedom to go places. WopeCar. Rent a car in a few clicks.